And of course, I'm going to say a few words about the terrible shooting in Sydney, Australia. Okay? So, and first, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills. They beat the Patriots today. It's a big deal. And of course,
I don't know. I just feel like that clip is incredible. Just like, and first, well, before I want to talk about the mass shooting that happened. Oh, first, I got to say, go Bills. They beat the Patriots this week. But what's up? It's Absurdity Space, episode 3. I'm Forrest Miller. I'm here with Kristina Oakes. We've got a lot, I guess, to talk about today. A lot's going on, right?
Yep.
You got anything? You got anything to start with?
No, not really. I told everyone that we were live on Twitch too, but that isn't happening. So I gotta let everyone.
Wait. We are live on Twitch right now. Now we are live on Twitch. Yeah, I don't know. I have to the only thing with doing stuff on the space is I have to literally manually put each thing in, and now the thing that I was more distracted with was making sure that it wasn't going on both vertical and every time it automatically does now vertical video and horizontal video, and I got very distracted trying to make sure that it didn't do that this time because it just makes 2 copies of whatever it is and I have to delete one.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, if we ever do other streaming, I mean, I feel like but also too on Twitch, you can upload, you can clip stuff from from Twitch in a vertical setting so that you can upload on Instagram or whatever. So that makes it easier, which is cool because it always has all the different settings. But you go into the VODs.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. They just keep adding. We've talked about this a million times, but they keep adding random features to StreamYard, and it's so you go in there. And all right, you could do there's some cool stuff
yeah,
it makes it easier to do bits when you've got yeah.
Oh God.
But yeah.
What a last week we've had.
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. It's hard to know where to start. Everything is terrible. No, the Rob Reiner thing is crazy. Rob Reiner,
a lot of
his wife Michelle getting murdered.
I have to say, a lot of my fellow leftists are just like the people, just like somebody right, their brains are broken. They're like, well, we still don't know if his son did it, innocent until proven guilty. I'm like, he did it though. He did it. He did it. I'm sorry, but or saying that who cares, blah 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 blah, and I'm like he's one of those directors that had one of the greatest streaks runs in cinema history. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean his run from I think it was 79 all the way to 90, I don't know, 97 or something like that was incredible.
Yeah.
He had a really long run. My theory on why his run ended is that he got extremely distracted. First, he didn't make a movie from 1999 to 2003 pretty much. And I feel like he was so distracted by the Bush becoming president that it ended his streak. I was reading James St. Clair from Counterpunch that used to run Counterpunch with Alexander Coburn. I guess he wrote this thing about how Rob Reiner used to call him up during the Bush administration once or twice a week and say, how are we going to stop this guy, George W. Bush? How are we going to stop this guy? And then they would be like, do you want to make a donation or subscribe to Counterpunch? And he wouldn't answer. And then he'd call back the next week.
Yeah. Also, too, apparently Trump's comments, and I'm like, people got fired for saying less about Charlie Kirk, but Trump has redone the Hall of Presidents or whatever, and now he's gotten he's given them biographies, and they're all just shit talking to all of them except for him, and it's
yeah.
Oh my God, I saw take him already.
I saw the Trump thing where he put a long ass addendum on Obama's portrait or whatever, and he wrote a whole thing out in true social form. I hate the thing that he does now where he says, "Thank you for your attention to this matter." Every time he writes one of the things, it's he'll say something legitimately frightening, and then at the end of it be Thank you for your attention. He's like,
Yeah.
we're gonna go to Venezuela. We're gonna blow boats out of the water. We're gonna go in. We're gonna invade. We're gonna steal the
take
oil.
their
We gotta steal
oil.
the oil. Yeah. And then at the end of it, thank you for your attention to this matter. And it's like that's like what you write on a hotel, like in the hotel bathroom or something, right? When you're like,
like all the plumbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you see employees that haven't washed their hands, please report them to management. We don't take that lightly here. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And if you see any of our employees, stealing gasoline from the from the bottom shop, we've actually had a lot of problems with employees bringing their own gasoline. We'd like our employees to buy their gasoline from the company store. And if you see employees taking gasoline, please report them. Thank you for your attention to this matter. But speaking of bushes, I found this video.
We can't be showing that. This isn't no. We can't show bushes on. No, that's TOS, Forrest. Don't do it.
George W. Bush cousin and guy from the Access Hollywood tapes, Billy Bush. This is how Rob Reiner's son was taken into custody so fast. This is like his reporting on it or whatever, and he's looking rough. I think he has like the Bush family alcoholism a little bit. But this is what I
don't age well.
I thought this was interesting in light of like everyone saying like, well, how do we know that he did it? And it's like this is what the media is going off of right now.
Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle are dead. It's unbelievable. Happened in Brentwood in a really nice community here in Los Angeles. Saturday night, TMZ reported a loud argument between Rob and his troubled son Nick at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. The LAFD were called to the home on Chadbourne Street at 3:30 on Sunday. They arrived to find 2 slain bodies. I got this from a friend who lives in the community. I heard that the son, Nick, went into his parents' house, stabbed both mom and dad, and that the daughter, I guess, lives on the property or at the house or in the back house, and that she found them, and that the mom was still alive. And apparently she called the ambulance and went in the ambulance with her mother. Michelle died in the ambulance, but had enough time to tell her daughter that it was Nick, their son, who stabbed them. And that's why they figured it out so quickly, and he's in custody.
I don't know. So I just thought that was interesting because I also wondered like how they found out so fast. I mean, I assumed that when the daughter found them, maybe like she had known that he was there, but like that's insane. Like it's so crazy to think about. Like I mean, just your parents dying that way too, and then the ramifications, I guess, from that. Like from like I'm guessing they're probably never gonna fucking talk to that brother again. Like it's just one of those stories that's like too horrifying to really even think about. And like I don't know. He seemed like Rob Reiner, obviously. Like I mean, like maybe I'm biased because like I've watched so many of his movies and seen so many of his interviews, and like he would just seem like a very kind-hearted, maybe not the smartest guy in the world, but like the most like a very kind-hearted kind of person. And like as someone that like has struggled with like like mental health stuff and like gotten sent to like a kind of place for like 2 years of my life, like as a teenager, like it's not an easy thing, and like nobody really knows what to do in that situation. Like parents don't know what to do. You don't know what to do, like whatever authorities for the school and stuff. Like it's never a good situation. And he apparently went to 17 of them or something between the ages of like 17 and 22. And it's like some of them were probably those like wilderness programs that were like the troubled teen kind of places that are
that abuse the kids. Yeah, like Paris Jackson went to. Ugh.
And
I just kind of hate that the tabloid spin on this, because it's like a high profile Hollywood murder, that it's like, here's Bill Hader looking upset because he was at the party and he caused the fight between. I'm like, oh my god!
Well, what they did is
Bill Hader and Conan O'Brien alone.
It's even more fucked up. They broke the news, and then TMZ or Page Six, like one of those places, stalked out the front of his house to get him reacting to like, and he's already someone that also has like famously like mental health stuff. Like he's got like I remember when they had like the SNL 50th or 40th, or I can't remember which one it was. Yeah. He like didn't go because he like had such a bad panic attack beforehand that he just like was immobilized. So like it's basically taking a guy that has that much anxiety and is like somehow has the career that he's had, right? Like it's pretty incredible.
Let's make it worse for him.
Yeah, and then they're like, all right,
And
well, we
then
know
talk
this
about
guy's a
Larry
panic
David
disorder.
and Billy Crystal, and it's like, oh Jesus, come on, like it's sad, you know. And his father just died a few years ago. I mean, I feel bad for Mel Brooks because imagine outliving like one of your closest friends and someone who's like another son to you, you know?
Yeah. I just like it's just horrible. It's so fucking horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a level of glee to it. I mean, especially the New York Post, which is, like they're
Oh my god, yeah.
because he's like, been a very
Anti-Trump.
outspoken liberal voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a glee to the way they've made multiple joke covers. One of them was Fall in the Family.
Fall in the Family, and
then today they had one where it was a picture of Nick or whatever, like getting drunk or something at a party that they had. It said "party animal." That was the caption. They're not even very good. There's so many better ones. I could come up with better headlines than that off the top of my head.
I feel like the tabloids of the 90s, early 2000s had a lot more respect than the ones we have now because they're all just right wingers, being run by right wingers and shit like that.
Yeah, well, we have like a tabloid administration and a tabloid media. Like it's
yeah. In a world full of social media, the tabloids had to get in a world of social media where celebrities are posting, stuff about their personal life. It's like, why do we still need tabloids? Well, they figured out how to change that and become more politicized.
Yeah. Well, also, I think in the world where like celebrities are only going to really they've hired PR shops. They're only going to really tell you about the good things. Yeah. So even more than they used to be. Now.
Oh yeah.
Exclusive scoop. They're like incentivized to find the bad that like someone has like a mental breakdown and is like in the hospital or something. They're like, well, they're not going to put that on Instagram, so I can break that as an exclusive story.
Or it's like when you find out they had a baby, it's like, oh, I was wondering why they hadn't posted in 9 months.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just crazy. But like, I feel like it's made celebrities crazier too.
Yeah.
All of it. Because everybody, like you see so much like shit that people are putting in their faces now. Like everybody is Mar-a-Lago face pretty much. And it's like,
yeah, everyone's got I cannot watch period pieces because I'm like, y'all have veneers, lip filler, buccal fat removal. It's like, no, everyone has the same face now, and it's so annoying.
Yeah. I don't know, it's crazy. And it's like everyone wants like a certain level of lips. Everybody they all go to the same doctors. I think that's really what it is. Like a lot of them, at least. There's like a few good, or not even good, because they're clearly not good, but like a few like high profile enough celebrity plastic surgeons, and then everyone kind of follows suit with that. But it's like, I don't know, it's too much cosmetics. Like it's too
even far. Ariana Grande's like, a few years ago I stopped getting filler and Botox. She's like, maybe in a few years down the line I'll get a facelift. But my facelifts look more natural though, because they actually did just lift your face. Like getting the fillers and the Botox and all the lifts are more natural than like putting shit in your face,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I had an ex-girlfriend that used to get Botox and she used to get lip filler, and I was like, we're poor. We are poor people.
Yeah.
Why are you doing all that?
Well, it's because a lot of people don't like when they feel like, we live in a society where it's like, if you look poor, you're looked down upon. So you gotta look bougie. You gotta look, so whatever, it sucks.
But I feel like it's the star belly sneeches. Like the Dr. Seuss book, when you start to like when poor people start having like Botox and lip filler faces, then it's gonna be something else that's like in, because they don't like, if everybody has the same face, like nobody stands out. It's all right for celebrities to all have the same face, but I'm saying like if celebrities start having the same face as poor people,
they would have to dissolve everything.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about the mass shooting in Australia though, because
Forrest, how come there are more guns in Australia now than there were before the Port Arthur massacre that led to the banning of guns in Australia?
So there's The Guardian this summer did a bunch of pieces on exactly that, which is kind of interesting because like it's not the first mass shooting that they've had, but it's close. And what they consider mass shootings in Australia very different from what we consider mass shootings in Australia or in the United States, right? Because in the United States, it's four people have to die. Yeah, have to die. Which in Australia they don't have to die. It just has to be casualties, which casualties are obviously injuries or death, which is something that I learned the hard way when I posted casualty statistics. Someone's like, well, some of them are still alive. But
Yeah.
it's
Well,
yeah,
actually,
so there's at least 2,000 new guns. This was a summer, and it's gotten worse since then. 2,000 new guns lawfully entering the Australian community every week, according to their analysis. And like the reason that this is happening right now is because in Western Australia, pretty much they've broken down a lot of the like post Port Arthur laws with the help of the USA's good old NRA. The NRA entered in 2019 at the behest of Australian gun manufacturers and the gun lobby, and who wanted to break down those things, and saw how successful the US had been with literally making sure that we never have any gun regulations ever, which obviously not constitutionally protected by any means in Australia, the same way that we have it here. So it's like Second Amendment, baby. Like they don't, nothing like that. And they had the strictest gun laws in the wake of Port Arthur. They took action pretty fast. I mean, I think it was Port Arthur was in 1996. So by like 2000, 2001, they had they had some of the strictest gun laws in the world. So Port Arthur was here 1996, and then it went down to like by 2001 they had 2 million guns. They are up here now as of last year, 4 million guns, pretty much. I mean, 4,078,000 guns entering Australia, far more than the 3,200,000 that were there during the Port Arthur massacre. But even in 1989, when they had the most guns, it was only 4 million. So they've surpassed that by even last year. 78,000 guns. That's a lot of, because I mean, it's not like Australia's our size population, right? Like.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because this reminds me of like all the evangelical groups that go to African countries to do kill the gay bills because they know they can't get away with it in the United States. We're never going to get gun control in the United States. So the NRA is like, we're floundering. We don't have a whole lot of money. We've had interpersonal, political, battles, whatever, especially the last few years because we haven't heard anything from the NRAs because they've been quietly going to other countries with stricter gun control laws to the point where there's no mass shootings. You might have a domestic dispute, a cop shooting or whatever, but like there's no mass shootings in a lot of these countries, which is kind of the whole point. I mean, and again, the father was a legally carrying registered gun owner. I'm like, it is the guns.
And I think he was legally, because you get a registration, then you can buy pretty much as many guns as you want. So he had like 6 guns legally registered to him or something like that. And then those are the 6 guns that they used in the mass shooting. Another interesting thing, obviously, because it was, a deeply anti-Semitic and bigoted attack on a bunch of Jewish people celebrating Hanukkah, some of which obviously were Israeli, but it seems like the Israeli angle of it had very little to do with it from any of the
but a lot of people are like, this is what happens when you're pro-Palestine. I'm like, this has nothing to do with Palestine. This is more about like inspired by ISIS, who also are anti-Semitic. Like I don't understand why I'm like also too the fact that a Muslim man came to the rescue. Even that Yahoo was like, oh crap, I can't say a good thing about this dude. Never mind. Like it's crazy.
Well, the interesting thing to me, right, is that the father, right, because it's a father-son duo. The son is obviously Australian citizen born in Australia. The father was an Indian national. So at first they were trying to report that it was a the guy was Pakistani, and they only reported because they had the son's name, but
and like an illegal immigrant or something, right?
Yeah. And it turns out there was a guy that's in Australia on a visa or something that has the same name, was not that guy. So they had to turn around and, and they had to turn around and pretty much say, oh, wrong guy. And the guy had to put out a video and say like, hey, I'm not the person that you just said. I've been at home all day. Like I've been at work. I can attest to that. And so they had to take back that thing, but that already does untold amount of damage. It reminds me of the Boston Massacre kind of, when the Boston Marathon massacre happened and they reported, like Reddit went out to try to find the killers and they kept putting out the wrong guy and ended up with someone killing themselves because they were being accused by everybody on Reddit and like harassed nonstop of being the Boston bomber. And that part of it has only gotten worse too, the social media rush to constantly try to find whoever the person is in these situations, and there's no real accountability for that in any country, like not Australia, not here. But so they were an Indian origin family. They weren't very close to their family in India. They were from Hyderabad. But the family said they had no history of extremism. The close family in Sydney also said they didn't have any history of extremism that they knew of, right? Like the social media profiles didn't show it. They had gone to the Philippines 2 months ago and gotten military training from the the ISIS, the Philippines ISIS brigade, pretty much, and that's how they got kind of more into this, I guess. This like form of extremism that really, I mean, it's like, it's just like India, Australia, the Philippines. It's not like a Israel kind of thing, right? Like it's not like yeah. So it's funny that like not funny, but it's interesting that the rush is to make this about. I mean, I saw like Fetterman go, oh well, this is because of like pro-Palestine protests, and it enabled this before we even knew the name of the guy or anything about them. And it's like the guy that stepped in who was like a real hero and got disarmed the father so that he could someone
Once
else
they
take him
found
out.
out he was Muslim, they backtracked, which is like,
Well, so he's from Syria, and his family recently had come over from Syria. So it's like the Syrian, the Syrian Australian, I think he's a fruit shop owner. He was actually helping make sure that people weren't killed on the beach. And the new thing that Zionists, like pro-Israeli people, are kind of doing is, oh well, he didn't kill the father, so that's why he should have done that. So he's not actually as big a hero as you guys think. That's like the new racist person line, I guess. But to not have to give him credit for that.
Okay, then the firefighters who died in 9/11 who couldn't rest, are they no longer heroes too? Like, I'm just saying, they didn't rescue everyone who were in those 2 buildings. Like, come on. I mean, they did try doing that for Muslim firefighters on 9/11 too, if I remember.
I mean, they're just trying to not give the person credit, because they're like, this is a little bit different. Like, oh, we can't really give a Muslim guy credit. At first, even Netanyahu, I think, had come out and said, oh, this was a Jewish guy that stopped the massacre, and then he had to come back out and say, well, actually, it's this other guy. I don't know. I'm not even gonna say where he's from. But it's like, I don't know. No, he did. I think he did in the end, but I thought that was interesting. And then it was like the first. I just think it's funny that
it's just so funny that other countries want to be like us. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? We've had how many mass shootings?
Well, Australia has kind of a history of that too, because I mean, they call their I can't remember if it's Medicaid. I think it's like they call their.
They're like the
health
Florida
insurance.
of the UK or whatever, like.
I
mean, they're just a Southern British accents. What I call their accents.
They call their universal public coverage Medicare, and it's like a hybrid system. So there's been a lot of times where they've kind of copied maybe the not so beneficial parts of they basically have like a public option there, and that was like a lot of people pointed to that when Biden was running to be like, see, Australia does a public option. Essentially, like you can get private health insurance and supplemental health insurance. You don't have to get rid of the private insurance industry, just make it more expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I thought these statistics were really interesting about the firearms, and it turns out that the NRA had gone there in 2019. That's kind of when this collaboration started, because the One Nation Party, like the deeply far right, ultra nationalist party, and the Australia Party, which I don't really know as much information about, had gone to the NRA kind of hat in hand, begging them for money. So the NRA started funding both of them and started funding their own version of an NRA, essentially. I mean, it's not called the NRA, but it's like called the Australian Gun Lobby, essentially. By the end of 2019, the gun lobby was actually as large as the U.S. gun lobby, which is an insane fact.
Jesus Christ. Is that where their money's going towards now? Jesus.
Yeah. So gun lobby groups, this is in 2019 when they first broke this news, in 2019 had donated 1.7 million to Australian political parties. Bob Catter's Australian Party, which again, it's like one of those far right parties, but I don't know enough information about it. They've gotten over $800,000 at the time in political donations. Many Australians would be surprised to learn that the Australian gun lobby is just as large in Australia as the U.S. gun lobby is when compared on a per capita basis. So that was in 2019, and I can't, since then they've had some pretty big gains, although they might be wiped out by this latest. They've already started cracking down on gun control in Australia again right now. So I don't know where that I don't know where that's going to go, and I don't really know that much about Australian politics, but following along with this was kind of interesting because it's like, oh, we're really going around making the world worse. I just like, obviously we knew, but
what's the point? You know, like it sucks.
Yeah. Well, you should still follow along with it, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about our good friend Dan Bongino is leaving the FBI?
You know what's interesting? Like people are starting to realize how incompetent the FBI is because it took what the hell? It took forever to find Luigi. It took forever to find Charlie Kirk's killer, and it's taken forever to find the Brown University shooter. And they're still trying to make it that he was targeting Republicans when the one victim was just a Republican Party like club like a member, and then the other person was just a dude. And it's like you can't be. This is not.
I think
we know nothing.
Yeah, off the top of my head. The girl that they're trying to use is like they're like, see, it's about conservatives. She's like the vice president of the Brown University like Republican club or whatever. But it's like, I don't know, like why wouldn't you go after the president of the Republican club if you're gonna do that? Like if you were specifically looking at for them. But I don't know. We don't know anything about that person's motivations because we don't know who the fuck they are. Who it is? I mean, we're in a time of like pretty much constant mass surveillance, and still it takes so long to find any information.
Mass surveillance on top of just spreading fake news, like and misinformation. Like we've never, like ever since Elon took over Twitter, Mark Zuckerberg capitulated to Trump, like these social media platforms where we could have gotten a lot of reliable news fast, easy, quick, whatever. We're not getting that anymore. Like it's crazy.
Did you hear they threw out all of the calls and all of the recordings from Luigi Mangione's trial yesterday because they didn't think about the fact that Pennsylvania is a two-state or a two-party consent state. So it's essentially that they didn't get consent from Luigi Mangione to actually record anything with him. So they had to actually throw out a whole bunch of stuff that they were claiming was evidence.
And no warrant to search his, apparently he wasn't read his Miranda rights. There was no search warrant for his possessions. It's like this whole thing should just get thrown out.
I mean, I guess the thing with Miranda rights now, with the way that the court cases have gone, it's like you have to be read your rights. There's like very specific circumstances that you have to be read your rights, and they're not going to throw out the entire case because of it, which is kind of something that I think some people have occasionally gotten away with, being like, you didn't read me my Miranda rights, and then it ends up in like a mistrial or something like that. But it's not enough, I guess, at this point, because there's been multiple court cases where they've kind of reduce the amount that Miranda. I mean, that's kind of one of the conservative goals, is to like they don't want to tell you your rights, at all.
It's crazy.
But
I mean, there's just I feel like this trial should be thrown out because there's just been so many that's not protocol. That's you're not. I don't get it. It's just so funny. And then the same thing. A lot of people are like, well, how come Luigi Mangione's getting the death penalty, but Charlie Kirk's killer's not? I'm like, because Charlie Kirk was a fucking podcaster. Luigi Mangione is a threat to capital. They want to set an example. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, so much of our justice system is about setting an example. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing really when it comes to people's fixation on capital punishment, right? With it, which a lot of countries have done away with because it's been proven really not to be that effective of a deterrent. People don't really think, well, people always think they're going to get away with it. So they're not really thinking, hey, maybe the idea that I could get the death penalty, but like people's brains go, I'm the one person that can get away with it regardless of what the punishment is. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, the deterrent factor doesn't really work out that way a lot of the time. And, it's horrifying to think about the fact that even if it's 1%, but it's not 1%, it's higher than that, of wrongful convictions ending up with somebody getting executed. Like even if it's 4% or 8%, like the numbers there, right? Like if one person gets executed wrongfully, and then because of the way their criminal justice system is, too many of the cases of people on death row have questions where it's like,
a lot of times there's new evidence, there's a new suspect, and they're like, yeah, they're still on death row. We spent all this money keeping them on death row. Let's just still inject them and kill them anyway. It's I feel like more innocent people have been given the death penalty than those who've actually did it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never know a lot of like a lot of those statistics because the people did get executed, and I mean, they
Yeah.
try to push it down, but there's like a good amount of like since 1973, over 200 people have been exonerated from U.S. death rows. Like, there's a lot of people to like have to wrongfully execute. If you're looking at it, from that angle, but people are talking about like deterrence, and like the only thing that really the death penalty does is in people's minds is it's like it makes an example out of somebody. Like that's why the conservative, like really far right wing kind of freak people are always trying to like bring back public executions because they're like everyone should see the execution, and it's like I don't know, like I mean, number one, no, we shouldn't do that. There's so many times like that's always like kind of a like a fascist trope, I guess, like in movies and stuff, but it really is true. But I feel like it's more like almost like Singaporean, but like when public executions on TV, they're like we should televise this. It's like, but then you guys are just profiting from we profit from death anyway all the time, I guess. But it's like,
and people are like, oh, people are so self-centered and they're not nice, and but I'm like, you are contributing to the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, it's like what I say. South Carolina is the epicenter of the measles outbreak in this country. I'm sorry, but we lived in a time where people didn't remember what it was like to have these preventable diseases eradicated. So we have to be reminded of how good we had it. And if people are going to die because they refuse to vaccinate their kids, especially, I'm sorry, I can't sympathize, empathize. I'm sorry. You were selfish for not, the whole point of vaccination is to protect the immunocompromised. Vaccines work on someone like myself. I'm not immunocompromised. I'm not one to catch everything, but when I do catch it, it does get bad, like a flu or a virus. But like, I have a mother. I have a friend who has 4 kids, and she's like, they are all immunocompromised. Unfortunately, she's like, they get their shots, but they're not that effective. That's why people whose the vaccines are effective need to be vaccinated. I'm like, and these anti-vaxxers can't get it through their head.
Yeah, I mean, there needs to for that kind of immunity to work, right? There needs to be a certain percentage of people vaccinated in the community writ large, and it's like the less people that are allowed to, the more people that are allowed to be unvaccinated, in that society, the numbers go down pretty fast. I mean, when you get down to like 70% or something, like it's there's a lot of holes in that sieve, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, back in our day, we had to be vaccinated to go to school. Now you don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I went to because I needed like smaller class sizes. My brain wasn't working until I was older. I went to like a private school. The school, the public school paid for it, but they were like, you need smaller class sizes, and they didn't force anybody to get vaccinated there. So I went to a place that was, and there was it was kind of like a lot of hippies that were there, and they didn't quite vaccinate as much as. By the way, wait, so the shooters are Indian and not Syrian? Yeah, the shooters were Indian.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the son was Australian. I don't think the son's. I was reading a BBC article, I think, about it, and the father's only gone back since 1998 6 times, pretty much, to India. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, I mean, so the son's been pretty much in Australia his whole life, but yeah, they were Indian nationals from Hyderabad. They weren't. Yeah, the guy that stopped the shooting and grabbed the gun off of the other guy was Syrian.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I hope they find out more information. They're looking into it right now about the trip to the Philippines because I find that to be interesting because there's certain. I mean, the Philippines are just all islands, so it's like there's one island in particular that's been seized by ISIS members.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's. I was reading earlier at the wait. I'll look up the article. I'll show the article that I was talking about. It was 6. I'm pretty sure that they said that he had. Maybe they found a few more times. But they weren't close to the family. They were saying they weren't very close to their family in India. Even they got in touch with the family. I think the BBC got in touch with the family and they were talking to them, and they're like, oh yeah, we didn't it's surprising to us because they didn't seem particularly even religious, right? The family was staying at home. When they had gone to the Philippines for a little bit of time to train or whatever, they had told the rest of their family they were on a fishing trip or something, and they were like surprised to learn like, oh no, they're learning from ISIS militants in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, see it emerged that the father and son had traveled to the Philippines in November. The Philippine Immigration Bureau told the BBC that they were in the country from the 1st of November to the 28th of November. Long fishing trip. Their final destination was the southern city of Davao. An immigration spokesman said Naveed Akram traveled to the Philippines using an Australian passport, while his father had an Indian passport. Sajid Akram was originally from the southern city of Hyderabad, but had limited contact with his family there. Yeah, let me see. I gotta try to. I'm pretty sure they said 6 times that he was there, but I might be wrong. So
kind of crazy though. Yeah.
I mean, it's incredibly crazy, but it's just like, you know, like I mean, I know that like it's hard to even process that like it's nothing to do with the Israel and Palestine stuff, because that's obviously where everybody's you know, mind automatically went. Yeah, because the one guy that got shot, which insane thing that he did. He like the one guy was a I really hate this guy. He was a guy that famously in 2023 right after October 7th had put he had put that picture up of it like a cockroach, but like it was dressed as a Hamas person, and then like an IDF boot going down on the cockroach, and everyone like freaked out about it because it was like one of the most fascist things that someone had posted at that time. We've hit way past that by this point, but he was like a
we had that one guy make a menorah out of pagers to be like Happy Hanukkah, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but maybe part of the reason why anti-Semitism is on the rise is because Zionists just don't know when to shut the fuck up, you know? Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely some of it. I mean, I think, you know, the whole Groyper thing is another really big part of it.
Yeah. It's just crazy because it's like, you know, we learned about the Holocaust, and it's kind of crazy that even people who grew up learning about the Holocaust still ended up denying it. I mean, people were denying the Holocaust as it was happening, which is crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, people were denying the Holocaust, but also nobody in America. Well, I think I've always tried to figure this out, like the timeline exactly. But as far as I'm aware, the timeline is that FDR learned about the Holocaust. Right? They knew about concentration camps. They knew about that part of it. But like the Holocaust, like the extermination camps, they learned about it in 1941, and then the government didn't tell American citizens until 1942. Essentially, like that was like later information that they're like, hey, by the way, we should tell you that, you know, this is happening at the same time.
We're killing millions of people. You know?
Okay. Akram moved to Australia in November 1998 to find work and married a woman. Here, I could pull this up on screen so that everyone knows I'm not just you know, trying to so I'm not just you know, doing my trying to I'm accountable here. Yeah, so Akram then moved to Australia in November 1998 to find work. Then married a woman described as of European origin, with whom he had a son and a daughter. He went back to India 6 times for family-related reasons, such as property matters and to visit his parents, but did not return when his father died, the police statement said. It said Akram's family seemed unaware of any alleged radicalization, and local police had no adverse record of him before he left in 1998. There was an investigation in Sydney of possible ISIS members. I guess that they thought within this community that they were living in, and the father had come up within this thing, but they cleared him, and then they let him keep his guns. In the process of that, but they had Australian intelligence looking into him, and I think 2019, same as when the NRA got founded.
Yeah. So yeah, this whole situation is just a lot of people are like, you know, how come we're hearing about this mass shooting and not but what's happening in the United States? I'm like, because Australia doesn't really have mass shootings like this anymore. That's why it's national news. And plus, during Hanukkah, big deal. You know, mass shootings are just, you know, part of American way of life now. So we don't really have to be, you know, I mean, a shooting can happen tomorrow where 50 people get killed, and it'd be like, okay, whatever, you know. I mean, look at the one at the Jason Aldean in Las Vegas. 60 people died. Said
anything? You see that one was interesting because the Like that was the most, the most devastating. I'm pretty sure.
And we
or at
still
least
don't know
one
a
of
whole
the
lot
most,
about the guy.
Yeah, Stephen Paddock or whatever. But he was
Yeah.
he was way outside of the door because the FBI and law enforcement tracks. I mean, it's kind of weird they don't have a uniform definition across these agencies, right? Like the mass shootings can mean something different depending on what agency you talk to. Like Congress is a different definition of it than I was looking into this for talking about this. And it's like Congress is a different definition than the FBI, and then local law enforcement, and then there's a much broader definition from like every town, right? Like from the places that try to keep track of school shootings, pretty much after after Sandy Hook and after Parkland. So they have a much broader definition of what they consider a mass shooting than, let's say, the FBI, which the FBI tries to put together a profile of who's likely to do this. Stephen Paddock, far outside of the profile, not just because of his age, which obviously he was like 60 or something like that, but also because he was wealthy. Like he set himself up in one of those in the casino and then just started taking shots at people. Still don't really know the reason why. He just, I guess,
is it amazing that? Is it kind of interesting that the mass shootings under Trump, we know very little about the shooters? I've noticed that we know very little about the people who did mass shootings. Really, under it's just I've noticed that for quite a few of them.
By the way, it was the Bondi Beach in Australia, which. Yeah,
I was
having trouble not calling it. Yeah, I was having trouble not calling it Pam Bondi Beach. But yeah, I was just looking into like the Australian list of mass shootings. What they consider a mass shooting. I mean, there's Wikipedia, so it's not like but what they consider a mass shooting is a lot different than what we consider a mass shooting. Like, so
if people just get injured, already, right?
Yeah. Well, this year they had one mass shooting already. After these months and months of like. Places like the Guardian running these things, they're like, hey, they're like the actual infrastructure of our gun control laws in Australia, or I guess the Guardian's more based in the UK, but I think it was like, they have an Australian part too. So they're like, hey, this is kind of crumbling right now. There's too many guns for us to keep track of all of them. And they ran like multiple stories about that. So then in October, a man opened fire from a restaurant rooftop in Croton Park in Sydney. So they're both, both Sydney, mass shootings, injured 18 people but killed nobody, which in the U.S. somehow would not be really considered a mass shooting because the numbers. But that already happened, and then just 4 months later, this happens, and it's like, like the increase. You could look at the exact statistics is as more guns come along. More guns come along, obviously,
there's more violence, more death. I wonder. That's surprising. It's so funny too because a lot of people are like, "Oh, but what about like mass stabbings?" I'm like, you can subdue someone with a knife.
Yeah.
Like guns cause the most damage the fastest. Okay, like it's a miracle that one man actually tackled one of the shooters with an injured leg, mind you.
I don't think. I mean, how often has that ever happened here? I mean, like I think there are some like
the cops in Uvalde.
Yeah. But there's also there's a lot of instances I think in school shootings of teachers putting their bodies on the line for their students. Like that's I think that happens all the time.
Not the fucking cops that are there for security.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Yeah, Uvalde really. I remember following that live, and it was really. Yeah, there's like hours where like following it live online or whatever. It's like so the cops are not in there then. They're like, well, they've cordoned off the scene. Oh, so they've cordoned off the guy in the place where all the students are.
They literally said that we had the thing was like we had to do as little damage as possible, and by having these kids be sacrificed, we did good. And I'm like, no, you did not. Like even Parkland, the cop, the security guard, was in the car when it happened. Like it got like I think HBO Max has a documentary about like the mass shooting for profit industry, because a lot of people are like, we're selling these book bags, we're selling these vests, we're selling these doors, we're making so much money selling these these things that can help with mass shootings. I'm like, but not have legislation be passed.
The things
building fake classrooms.
Australia, when you start looking into the things, right, what they consider mass shootings, number one, they consider, all right, I hate this term and it really skews me out, but like the term family annihilator. It's when somebody goes, nuts and kills their family. That's not considered a mass shooting in the United States. That's considered a mass shooting in Australia, though. Like that's considered its own its own kind of spinoff when somebody kills their entire family. And our definition is like it has to be in a public place. It can be in multiple locations, but they have to kind of be in the same event essentially, like, or else it's a spree killing. And all of these things happen at a pretty high rate. So it's like, I don't know. Family annihilators, though, I think across the world are like, by far, like, I'm not saying they're the most. I think
like familicide or whatever. It's like when some Muslim fathers kill their daughters for being too westernized or whatever, like in honor killings or whatever. But
you could see during this entire thing, like for a while there, Australia was it was a lot easier to kind of keep control of this stuff. But they also consider like drive-by gang activities. They'll consider that a mass shooting, which we don't. We consider that a drive-by. They consider when a cop kills a bunch of people during like a shootout or something, or when hostages die. Those are also mass shootings. Those are not things that we consider mass shootings. We consider those accidental casualties, we'll say. So it's like there's a bunch of different things there, but I don't know. I do not agree that it's not the abundance. I think the abundance of guns is. I mean, I don't think it's all of it. I think it's part of it. Like it's if you don't have guns, right? Like it's kind of harder.
You can't commit the worst of the worst offenses in violence.
But I also think it's the way that we revere guns. It's not just the existence of guns. It's like the cultural place in our society that guns have, which is would be a much harder thing to combat. I think
pink rifles for 5-year-old girls. Anyone like that?
Yeah, like the way that we like almost both sexualize and like hold up guns within our culture. Like I think that is the difference between us and the rest of the world. Yeah. Which
that's
other
why
places,
I like those two.
Yeah,
that's why I like those 2 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia that tackle gun culture, because it's funny as hell.
I mean, I go back and forth between like, I don't know. I go back and forth between is that the one where Frank? Anyway, I started blasting.
That and then at first one team's like, we gotta get these guns off the streets, no, we gotta get them on the streets, and then they both end up switching because they were exposed to a different like rhetoric. And they're like, it's so funny.
I just have like I think the way that we revere guns, or the way that we treat guns as if they're like we're the only place in the entire world that has more guns than people. Like more guns than individual citizens, and it's like that shouldn't be. Like there should be some kind of limit on that, right? Like I think that like I'm pro people having hunting rifles. I'm pro people like I'm obviously not pro hunting. I'm not saying people should go out and like, but I'm like I think people should be free to do
Forrest,
that.
You want endangered species to be more endangered?
Well, I'm yes, but not from guns. I just put them into data centers, and the data centers just. AI, I want AI to chop up the endangered species.
It's funny too because like again, like my electric bill is like $600, and we don't really use a whole lot of electricity in this apartment, so it's like what the hell. But like a lot of some of my friends who are moderates who brag about listening to Barry Weiss all the time. I'm like, what's wrong with you? They're like, the problem is the infrastructure. We gotta bring up the infrastructure. I'm like, listen, until AI is regulated, these data centers are not going to be helpful at all. I'm sorry, they're not. They're using up so much electricity, they're using up so much water, they're using up so much computer parts now that you can't even build your own PC.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
I mean, I like listening to. I mean, it's kind of funny because they've had some really good conversations with Matt Binder, but Ed Zitron that does the he reports on this kind of stuff a lot. He's like the British guy that he's been on a lot of different shows, but Matt Binder has some like really good episodes with him. He's like one of the the big AI kind of reporters, but on like the the AI negative side of things, I guess. He's talking about like I was listening to him on Chapo at one point, and he was talking about how they don't even have the infrastructure to actually utilize these data centers. Like they haven't even invented the technology that they're going to need to build. What they're doing right now is they just take the data center and they just build it as like, oh well, here's a new data center and here's a new data center, and they just kind of fold them into like this giant data center. But they haven't actually figured out really how over a bunch of time, right? Like over a long time, they're going to be able to keep this up. Like it's gonna be a huge expense, and we're not talking about it as like a society. Like it's not a decision that society has kind of made. It's a decision that
I just think it's funny that they're like, oh, we just need to update the power grid, update the infrastructure. I'm like, with what? I'm like, with what money? You really think that they're gonna rebuild the communities that are very poor, very rural, very black, where these data centers are going? No, they're not gonna do that. They know that they could get away with taking all this land in this area that no one's gonna really, want to revamp. So the argument that we just got to fix up the infrastructure, that'll bring that electricity, the water. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I just don't. There are other, if they were using solar panels to run these data centers, maybe
I'm worried. I'm worried about the fact that 90% of new new investment, I guess, right? Like new investment in our economy this year during the the first Trump year, has been just the data centers, like just building more data centers, and they haven't even been built yet. It's just people investing in NVIDIA, pretty much, and like
3 Mile Island.
What happens when that all collapses?
I'm ready for that bubble to burst.
I'm ready. I
remember the 3 Mile Island.
I remember when they I remember growing up, they were talking about 3 Mile Island all the time.
Yeah, because it was a nuclear reactor that exploded or whatever.
It didn't explode.
Maybe if we invested in nuclear energy, maybe, but there's always that worry of something happening like Fukushima or whatever. I don't know. I was very anti nuclear power for a lot of I'm not though anymore. I think that probably is the way that we have to. Well, now we're going in the opposite direction, but if we had stayed on our trajectory that we were on, I think that is the only way at this point that you could actually reduce climate change. So I'm feeling more amenable to that, because I think it melted down. Nothing really happened at 3 Mile Island when it melted down. It just freaked people out so much that culturally we kind of went back for the next few decades, right? A big problem with it is, where do you store the waste? And it's that is not a thing that they've really figured out as much as everything else. I was looking into the data centers, and they've got 62 million tons of waste already this year alone. I'm more polluting more than what New York City could do in a full year. And I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Also, I think a lot of people, not to talk about Barry Weiss for the next few minutes that we have left, but that whole Erica Kurt town hall didn't do her any favors. No one wants to see her on camera. She's not pretty to look at. I'm sorry. And she's not charismatic. And CBS realized, advertisers and the key demographic don't care about this stuff.
Well, also they did it on Saturday night with Saturday Night Famously, which Barry Weiss has never been Barry Weiss has never been a TV person, right? She's always been doing her own kind of thing, and then she was working at the New York Times, and then but Saturday evenings is when nobody's watching TV, because they're all out socializing, or they're doing other things, or they're taking a break from the week. So she put the Erica Kirk thing on that they were promoting nonstop at 8 p.m. on Saturday, the time that already advertisers are not advertising, because it's not any kind of prime time. That's not when people are sitting in front of the TV. So it's she already fucked up by doing that.
Yeah.
The numbers are really bad on it.
Yeah. I can't believe this timeline. I'm kind of glad that that Warner Brothers is not accepting Paramount's bid. Unfortunately, that means 2-day windows for new releases because of Netflix. But as long as Donald Trump doesn't have someone that he's friends with in charge of another news media outlet, I'm a little happy. I'm a little relieved.
Yeah, but isn't one of the CEOs of Netflix, or one of the leaders, is a Trump supporter? It's not an Ellison, right? It's a little bit different.
And this is what pisses me off, because a lot of right wingers yes, more, no more woke. I'm here's the problem: lefty media or art was never being pushed upon you, because we don't have the funding to push your algorithm. The problem is that a lot of the tech CEOs now that are in charge of all these social media outlets and media companies are right wingers, and they're using all their money influence to influence the algorithm. So back in the day, you could just opt out of not seeing stuff. I like, but now you cannot opt out. I mean, no matter how many times I try to fix my TikTok algorithm, it just feeds me stuff that I don't want to see. Same with Facebook, same with Instagram, same with Twitter. It's like you can't opt
Twitter
out
does it
anymore.
on Twitter. Yeah, Twitter does it on like Twitter's thing is that they were afraid that well, it's such a billionaire mentality, I guess. But it's like they're like Elon's like, I'm gonna stop. We need to stop echo chambers. That's the number one problem that people are having right now.
I don't want to be in a right wing echo chamber.
So they give,
it's
like
weird.
I was wondering for the longest time, like, is it just because you would think maybe like it would be a sneaky way to get right wing propaganda onto left wing feeds and not do it the other way, because Elon's in his chud era, I guess. But it's not. It's everybody, and that's what, like, it's all it's done is make people angrier. Like when you see people swarming now swarming somebody's thing, like a lot of it is the fact that it's just been pushed onto their feed, and the people who previously would not have encountered it are now encountering something that they disagree with, and they're really angry about it. And they don't realize.
I don't like engaging in content that I don't like. That doesn't make that I don't like. Like, I don't understand how people can watch us on streams 12 hours a day and then be like nitpick every little itty bitty thing that seems off and like make a big deal about it. I'm like, you guys need to find something better to do, better hobbies. So that's why I'm like, I don't want to see this stuff. This is not content that brings me joy,
Yeah. I can't watch anything 12 hours a day. I maxed out at like one.
Redditors do apparently on live stream fails, but other than that, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I'll watch clips of people's things, but I don't like sitting live streams. I just can't do it. I don't have the attention span. Like I know people put it on and then it's like in the background, but it's like, I don't know. I either have to be watching or I don't. Like I'd listen. Like I read a lot of books or a lot of audiobooks. I like that I can get up and move and like do stuff while I'm listening. That's like my go-to for stuff.
Yeah,
I'm the last person maybe reading. I don't know. No. Plenty of people do, I'm sure, but
yeah.
It just feels like it's been like the most depressing possible. Well, I mean,
last few years.
I'm very concerned about whatever the fuck Trump. I mean, maybe it'll just be another thing. Sometimes he just is like, I'm giving a speech at 9:00 on this day, and then he shows up and it's something stupid, and like maybe it'll be that again. The funniest one, I guess, was Hegseth when he made all the generals come in just to tell them they were fat. And then, but like everyone was very worried about it up till that point because it's like, what the fuck is he gonna say? He's calling all the generals then. But this one seems like they might actually start announcing that they're. I guess Trump briefed a bunch of senators and congressmen like within the last couple of days that he's going to declare war on Venezuela, and it's like, is that what he's announcing at 9 p.m.? I don't know, but it's concerning looking into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it just feels like that would be like what a capstone to a week where every time I've checked the news, it's worse. Like. Yeah. There was a crazy moment at 4 a.m. the other day where I was trying to watch along with getting the brown shooter, like because at the time we still thought that was going to happen within the night, and they're like, oh, we're doing a chase of this guy, and at 4 a.m. it suddenly switched to like news about the Australian like anti-Semitic mass shooting, and it was like, oh, this is like and then my whole feed was flooded with that. And it feels like it's been something else every day since then.
And then the Rob Reiner thing, and then we're like, oh my god. And then
it's like there's not even it's like
dying from surgical complications. Luke Spencer's at our hospital. I'm like, oh man.
I see this year to end. I feel like this year's got to it's almost there,
cleanse itself,
we gotta start over next year and be like new president. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I wish.
Just think if Bernie had won in 2016, where would we be?
I mean, we would have slowed some of this, but I feel like a lot of it was inevitable. Not inevitable, but you know what I mean. Like, yeah, things go in one direction, and you can get them to go back the other direction. But it's like it's hard to stop the flow of. I don't know. Maybe everything feels inevitable when you're in it, though. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we can call it here. 7:00. We'll be back next week for Absurdity Space episode 4. Movie Night Extravaganza also. Subscribe to that if you haven't. It's Absurdity Space. We do have a YouTube page and we have a Twitch. If you're not watching on that and you're watching on, most people are on this space, you know, give us a sub, subscribe, like, everything.
And we're on